This is the Mohsin Mortgage Program with Sarah Mohsin. Mohsin Mortgage is licensed in several states for residential and commercial purchases and refinancing. Call 800-662-9550. And now, here's your host, Sarah Mohsin.
Great to be back here again, folks, and it's a brand new day with no mistakes. I have good friend Peter Manos back here with us. How are you today, Peter?
All right. And you, Sarah?
Doing well. I'm so glad that you could make it out here today and join us again in the studio. Can you share a little bit about your story?
My story started about a couple of years ago working with your brother,
Yes.
Zaf, and I was questioning if I was able to do a reverse mortgage, and I had a ton of questions. And after talking to your brother, Zaf, for quite a long time, for many different days, and going through all the pros and cons, my wife and I decided to do the reverse mortgage, and it's been a blessing to us.
Well, it was wonderful having you join us a while ago regarding the reverse mortgage, because we were talking off air about just the questions people have or the fear based on not knowing the facts about having a reverse mortgage. And that's really one of the key things. I think it's really useful for people to know what it means to have a reverse mortgage. And it's not what I say, what my brother Zaf says. It's what happens to people who choose to do the reverse mortgage, and why it's valuable to know that it is a government-sponsored program. You had a lot of great questions, more than any one of our listeners ever. Thank God that you did ask questions, and we can have you on air to share what your concerns were, right?
Yeah, that's true. I was remembering watching a lot of commercials with the reverse mortgage.
Right.
And I'm saying they're pushing this product a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally I listened to your program one day, and I said, let me give Mohsin a call. And I said to myself and to my wife, I says, why don't we just explore this some more and see if this actually is true? You know, I've heard a lot of misconceptions that, you know, it's not the right thing to do. You got to be leery about, you know, doing a reverse mortgage. You might end up losing your house. And it's not true. It's not true at all. It's been a blessing because Becky and I have able to save this extra income to use for other purposes. And actually we're able to buy a second home, you know, in the Cape Cod area. So it's been really a blessing to us.
That's the important part of choosing the financing options when it comes to whether you're refinancing, the reverse mortgage, buying a home. The key part of it is knowing the difference of what is factual and what isn't. And I think with the reverse mortgage, because 10 years ago is very different from where it is now, and that's a large part of why you asked so many questions, because of what you may have heard. But the main thing is that someone who can own a property with a low mortgage balance, or even with no mortgage balance, can now take 50% of the equity, and also always own the home. So you the name on the property, the deed, when you buy a home, that deed is yours, even with a reverse mortgage. And then the counseling part, which you went to with Becky, which I think is like very self-explanatory about how you can take money out but never lose the home. And that's separate from what we do. That's a part of the government counseling that is provided, right?
And the one of the most important part is that, like, if anything happened to me, that Becky would be able to maintain the house in her name. And then eventually, if anything happened to Becky, you know, the children had to have the option to purchase the house or sell it and keep the remains. So it was always like in the family. It wasn't something that I was going to lose. And with the counseling and with all the information I got from your company, it really worked out well for us.
Well, you spoke at great length with my brother, and that was great. And it's important, because that means you care about your finances, you care about your family, you want to make sure that it's the right choice. And there's a level of comfort and knowing that you can choose to make a mortgage payment or not. You still get a statement, nothing changes. But then you bought that Cape Cod. So you had your home, you took money out, you got the Cape Cod, and you were able to sustain both properties. And with a reverse mortgage, you own both properties. You didn't give up anything. right?
It was a gain. Yes, definitely a gain.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I think being hesitant and not knowing, and if you don't ask questions, it becomes a problem because then you're holding yourself hostage to an idea, concept that's not real. And that's based on fear, anxiety. And I think that often people don't realize that you may have this concept that isn't true. It may be based on something that was available 10 years ago, but information changes daily, and we need to ask questions and be curious and see if this is going to work for us. In some cases, a reverse mortgage or refinance may not work. Maybe it's not favorable, but you don't know until you ask questions to see, how do I get rid of like some of these things that are creating, obstacles in my way? How do I buy that second home? How do I go on vacation? How do I just have peace of mind and not have, to have another job? So I think it's really important that people ask questions. That's what we look forward to, Peter.
I always remember when I was talking to Zaf,
Mm-hmm.
basically it was just not the information on is the reverse mortgage, right for Becky and myself.
Right.
I had like a ton of questions, and basically it was almost like a counseling session. I'm saying like, these are my circumstances. This is my financial situation. And Zaf went through the whole thing, and he looked at the whole picture, not just the reverse mortgage, but he looked at my financial situation. And he came with a conclusion that basically he thought that this would be the best avenue for Becky and I to do. And he was right. He was right. I was hesitant, but I did get counsel from Zaf. And he's the one basically to help me make this decision, which was nerve-wracking, believe me, when you think like, I'm going to give up my house and I don't know, will I be able to maintain this house, and will I
Yes.
be able to keep it? Can I keep the finances going? Is this true? And 2 years later, it's true. It's definitely true. I do get a statement every month. I know what I owe, what I don't owe, and what I could pay. And it's just a blessing. I keep on using that word, but it's true.
Well, it's a blessing to us because of the fact that you can share that information, because it's important for people to know and not be basing their decisions on fear will hold you hostage to things that you don't need to hold on to. You can ask questions. You can always go on to our website, www.mmcmtg.com, or call us, 1-800-662-9550. My brother Zaf and I, we started a company. We're first-generation immigrants. We built out this company, and it has only grown because of our listeners, because of you, Peter, and your wife, Becky, who have been able to trust us and know that there are options that are available so that you can, and you do some incredible things for kids. So, and same with your wife, Becky, but this is a family-owned business. So we really promote a lot of families, nonprofits that are related to children. We're anti-drug. We deal with Power Forward, which with Kevin Stevens, who's a former hockey player, and working towards alleviating that whole stigma against addiction, as well as working with the Lemieux Foundation. So when you come to us, when you and Becky come to us and seek out and encourage us to keep moving forward and trust us to do the work that we do in finance, it allows us to grow and give back to our community and our faith. So we are grateful for that, Peter.
Yeah,
We
and I
truly are.
appreciate both of you and for your company being so steadfast and, loving and kind and listening and be able to help us through this whole process. I really appreciate, you and James.
We appreciate you as well, and Becky, and with that, folks, call us 1-800-662-9550. Thank you, Peter, for coming today, and God bless. Stay well, folks.
This has been the Mohsin Mortgage Program with Sarah Mohsin. Mohsin Mortgage is licensed in several states for residential and commercial purchases and refinancing. Call 800-662-9550.